So you're new to Audica and probably struggling because, let's be honest, it's a hard game. Audica has a very steep learning curve. There's a lot of mechanics you have to learn and master, but it's worth it because once you get it all down, it is immensely satisfying to play. So let's waste no more time and go over some stuff to help you improve and conquer the ominous expert difficulty. Let's start with the first and also most important tip. Play the campaign. The songs are ordered by difficulty and ease you all the way up to expert. It is by far the best way to improve quickly. Keep in mind that you don't necessarily need to clear all the songs in the campaign to progress. You can choose to skip some songs you dislike. By playing the campaign, you'll also unlock some cool new stuff like guns, arenas, and new songs. Let's take a look at some settings. If you go to the gameplay section, you will find a button called Target Speed Multiplier. Now, I highly suggest that you set this to around 120 to 130%. This will help you when you transition from beginner and standard to advanced and expert, since the targets approach faster on those higher difficulties. Now, it might feel a bit hectic at first, but you will get used to it very quickly, I promise. There's also a button called Flip Slot Targets. Now, if you find slotted notes to be confusing, you can flip their visual representation by shooting this button. Next up, we'll talk about how you have to position your arms. Luckily, it's quite literally straightforward. Have your arms stretched out in front of you and aimed down the sides. A lot of new players make the mistake of T-Rexing their way through all the songs. That causes you to miss a lot of targets. So by having them stretched out, you will greatly increase your accuracy. We also need to talk about the need to dance. Let's be honest, VR rhythm games simply make you want to dance. And there's nothing wrong with that either. But if you're new to Audica, you should try to keep your movement limited until you have a good grip of all the mechanics. Focus on hitting all the targets flying around before impressing Michael Jackson with your sick dance moves. Once you're familiar with everything, however, you can start going crazy. Having your arms stretched out all the time is super tiring and your shoulders will not like you for it. So you'll have to find a way to rest your arms during songs, else they might fall off. Obviously, you can rest your arms when you get a breather during a map where there are no targets, but that might not be present in every song you play. So it's important to know that you can also rest your arms during one-handed sections and while holding sustains. To rest your arms, you can do two things. You can either drop them to your sides, or you bend them up and rest them like Lara Croft in this picture. Resting them like Lara might be less comfortable than just letting them fall, but you'll be able to react to incoming targets more quickly. Let's take a look at how to read a map. First up are cue darts. Cue darts are essential for reading maps. Cue dots are those glowing lines pointing you to its target. They will always be visible no matter what, no matter where your head is. They will originate from the center of a target and extend to a point where you can see them. It takes some getting used to, but once you do get used to them and understand how they work, they will help you a lot with reading maps. Let's talk about reading ahead. A lot of new players get stressed because they don't know where the next target might spawn. Generally, if targets spawn shortly one after another, they will be relatively close to each other. If a map is well made, then the targets will always lead you to where you need to go next. My best advice here is not to overthink it and just go with the flow. It'll work out more often than not. Next up are melees. A lot of new players get really intimidated by them. It's understandable, after all they come flying at your face full force. However, focusing on them is a really bad habit. What happens is, if you focus on melees, you can't focus on the targets in the background at the same time, so you'll end up missing. Now what you should do instead is never shift your focus away from the targets. You will always see melees approaching you from within your peripheral vision, and that's all you need. Now we'll take a look at how you should hit the melees. Now, they can spawn from both sides, left and right, so you might be thinking, okay, I'll just hit all the melees coming from the left side with my left hand, and the ones coming from the right side with my right hand. While that works, it might not always be the best solution. Now it's just important to understand that you can hit any melee with both hands. So a melee on the left side can be hit with the right hand and vice versa. So in this first example, I'm hitting all the left side melees with my left hand and all the right side melees with my right hand. There's nothing wrong with that, and this is perfectly fine. Now in the second example, I'm playing the same section, but I'm only using my left hand to hit all the melees. There's no real advantage in this particular scenario, but it's just to show you that it is possible. You should also notice that I'm currently holding a sustain with my left hand. Now what you should take away from this is that just because one of your hands is currently holding a sustain does not mean it is out of play. So if one of your hands is currently holding a sustain, you can still use it to hit melees. That's it for this video. Thanks for watching and see you next time.